Hi friends, I'm Sonnet with Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and I want to welcome you all to my channel. Today is going to be a thrift to treasure video, and I'm so excited to show you what I have in store for you. I took items that I recently picked on a haul, and I didn't show you guys that video. I figured I've been showing a lot of haul videos lately, so I thought I would just pick a few items and tell you how much I paid for them and show you how I'm flipping them. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. If you're new to my channel and you like DIYs, thrift flips, thrift hauls, a day in the life of a small business owner, then you have found your channel. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, which is that little bell. That way every Monday and Friday when I do release a video, you'll be notified. And at the end, I always love to hear what your favorite item was, what you thought of the flips, and I love hearing from all of my subscribers. So go ahead in the comment section, tell me what your favorite item was. Okay, so I did go thrifting. I didn't show you my thrift haul. I'm just gonna show you some items that I picked up and that I'm going to flip. So I found this cute little clock. I love this little detail here. I paid, so it was $2.99. Actually, it was $2.99 because I was gonna say this looks pink, but it's purple. The ticket of the day today was pink. So anyways, so what I'm going to do is this back, I realized, came off, and I'm just gonna pop out the actual face of the clock. I don't want to get that. I want to redo this, and then I'm actually gonna just put that back and leave it the color it is, but I'm gonna take this. What I want to do to this is I'm going to spray it black, and then I'm going to add a color to it and distress it, and then pop this back in, and actually it works. Me messing around with it, the battery must have been loose, so it's actually working, and yeah, it's keeping time now. So I was like, oh shoot, I probably should have checked that at the store. And then when I messed around with it, it started working again. So that is good. So let me go ahead, spray it with the black, and we're gonna pick a color and we're gonna go from there. So now that I have it sprayed black, I am taking DIY's Vintage Linen, and we are going to do 2 coats on here. So I just do try to make 2 nice thin coats of paint. With the other colors, I've noticed that I've only had to do 1 coat, but with white over black like this, typically it does take 2 coats. So then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry, and then I'm going to do some wet distressing with paper towel. So here it is completely dry, and I do have a wet paper towel, and I'm going to just rub that over all the raised areas. You don't want the paper towel to be sopping wet, just wet, just a nice wet to the touch. And then rub over all those raised areas with the DIY paint. The reason it does come off fairly easy like that is if you do not have it sealed, it does reactivate. So it comes off very easily. After you're done, then what we're going to do is we are going to clear coat it with the big top to give it a complete seal. But I am absolutely loving how this is turning out. So now that we wet distressed it and we applied the clear coat big top, we are then going to reinsert the face of the clock, and it very easily just pops right back in to that base. And then I'm just going to reapply the back of it as well. Overall, I just loved how this piece turned out. It is by far one of my favorites. My next item I found today was this cute little hanger. It was regular $4. It was a pink ticket, so I ended up getting it for $2. The original tag that was on it, the piece was $20. and I couldn't see where it was actually from, but on this piece, again, I'm trying to think of a color scheme I'm going to be going with. I'm kind of winging it today. So we're going to go ahead, because there will be bleed through on this, no matter what color I use, I'm going to give it a good spray first, and then we're going to paint it and then distress it back. I love this detail. I don't know if you guys can see this. It's got this really fun detail on both sides, and even here it looks like crackly. So I think that it might, you know, when I distress it a little bit, that crackle finish might come out. So I'm gonna decide whether or not we're gonna add some transfers possibly to the front of this, and then just distress this so it pops these little pieces out, and then distress around here as well. I love that look, and I think a lot of my customers do as well. So let's go ahead and get this sprayed. So now that I sprayed it, I went with black. I decided, because I did the clock in black for the base and then wet distressed it, I wanted the same look for this. So I am trying to create a vignette of all items that will go together. And so I decided that I would do that. And then I thought too, when I do the wet distressing on both sides, I can make those you know, items kind of pop through. And I did find a transfer that I'm going to put in the middle that I think will look perfect with this whole entire piece. So here I'm just going to finish painting this and let it dry. It will take 2 coats of paint on this as well. Let it dry good, and then we'll go ahead and do the wet distressing. So here I have the 2 coats of paint done on this piece, and what I'm going to do is on all the raised areas I am going to head and just rub gently like I did with the clock. Now on the sides, that is where I think those are called fleur de lis or something like that. I'm sure I'm going to get corrected, but I am rubbing gently on those, and I just want those to pop through just ever so slightly. And I am loving too how this piece is turning out. I did find the perfect transfer, like I said, to fit on the front of this. So what I am doing is I am going to finish wet distressing this, and then I will apply a clear coat, and then we will apply the transfer. So anytime you have an item, before you apply your transfer to it, you do want to have a clear coat, and that way your transfer will stick very nicely to it. So here I am taking Big Top, and I am going to clear coat the entire piece. I am absolutely loving how all those really pop out. And then in the center, like I said, I am going to be taking, I found this perfect transfer. I found it in Brocante, the new transfers that are available, and it has that same design in the actual transfer. So we're going to put that in the center, and I think this will finish the entire piece off. I did do a nice clear coat though to the entire piece, and I'm letting this dry, and then we're going to apply the transfer and then add another clear coat on top of the transfer. One thing too is you'll notice I am dumping a little bit of the clear coat in the cap. You don't want to dip inside of the clear coat. The clear coats and the paints from DIY are all natural, and so you don't, when you do that, you'll contaminate the container. I'm using all my paints pretty quick, so I have been dipping in the paints, but with the clear coat, you only use so little that I just want to make sure I am not contaminating this container, although you can see I've already used half of it. So now that the clear coat has dried, I am using this transfer from Brocante, and I loved it because it does have that same, well, I call them fleur-de-lis image on it, but it kind of goes and ties in with that whole piece. So what I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I am going to centerize it on the front, and I am going to just lay it down and then take the that stick that you get with your transfer and just start rubbing. It does release from the back very easily. You just want to make sure when you are lifting, you just lift slowly. And if anything doesn't transfer, just lay it right back down, rub again, and it should come right off that backing. But I honestly love how this piece turned out. The next item I picked up today was this cute little set of drawers. I loved it. It was $4. It is wood. It looks like somebody else put like a finish on it. And it just looks dirty to me. I don't like it. Normally I do. At first I was like, I don't have to do anything to it. But I'm going to wash it really good. It does, there's lots of dust on it. And I just think that this looks more of like a yellowy white. I'm not digging it as much. So what I'm going to do is wash that really well. And then we are going to paint it. And then I kind of like how they have it distressed on the drawers. So maybe just distress it back. And the texture's okay. I'm going to leave that. But basically, we're going to update this piece. So I decided we are going to use Aviary. It is honestly, it just reminds me of like a cottagecore color. Plus, I thought it would be perfect in the booth at this time. It reminds me also of like the holidays. But then after the holidays, this would actually fit into any home decor perfectly. So I am going to completely paint this entire piece, and I am going to remove the star. I did not show that on here, but yes, I remove the star from that, give the entire piece a coat of paint. With the DIY paint, it is highly pigmented, so this only required one coat. So I'm going to finish that, and then we're going to bring you back, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to wet distress it. And I really do love the look of that white-ish cream coming out from underneath that green. So I'm going to finish this up now. So now that it is fully painted and dry, I am going back to that wet paper towel and just wet distressing all the edges on each of the drawers, kind of touching on that little door or the little handles on there too. And then I really like how I do a little extra wet distressing on each of the corners to make that white really pop out. Then on the cabinet itself, I'm going to give that a complete wet distress as well. We are then going to clear coat it and then put the star back on. So now that it is fully distressed and dry, we are using Big Top, and we are going to apply a complete layer of Big Top to the piece. After that, we are going to then reapply that star like I said. But the Big Top gives it, makes that color darken and just really makes it pop. The next item I found, was by a woman named Mary Noble Fick out of Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And it looks like she painted it, here it says 1983, and it's a watercolor. It's so neat. And I want to leave that it as is. It's like a winter scene. And I just want to update the frame. And I think by updating the frame, it's going to make that whole print pop. And I think it will definitely go over very well in my booth. So we're going to paint this. And I think I'm going to do either white swan or the vintage linen. So I'm going to pick out which color I think matches it best, and we're gonna paint it, and then we're gonna distress it back a bit and have some of, if you can see in the wood, it has lots of detail. And so when I distress it back, I want some of that detail of the wood to pop through, and then on the edges down here. So let's go ahead and get started. So I wanted to let everyone know I did pay $4 for that. It was full price, and I did decide to use the vintage linen. I just felt like it was more of a vintage white versus the other two different whites were more not as vintagey. I just thought it matched better. I thought once I do that distressing to the frame itself, it will look more like the white in the actual picture because with that grain of the wood popping out. So here I'm giving the whole piece just one coat, and then when I do wet distress it to bring the grain of the wood out and make it look old and vintage, I think it's going to turn out beautiful. So now that I have the coat of paint on it, I am just taking my wet paper towel, and I am going to just start rubbing it against basically around the edges, along the edges, and just on that grain. The grain of the wood on this frame was so pretty, and just slightly rubbing on it made that grain really pop out, and all that paint stayed in there, so it just looked aged and old and weathered. I just love how this is turning out. The nice thing too is if, let's say, I did take off too much paint in an area, I can always go back and add a little bit more paint and then re-wet distress it. But that is the look that I'm really going for, just a weathered, aged look. And once I clear coat it, it's going to bring out the wood and then just make everything really pop. I found this piece today and I absolutely loved it. I love the handles on it. I just love the design. I like how tall it is and big. It was $10, so it was a little bit more than what I normally like to pay. But what I decided the minute I saw it, I knew right away I was going to paint it black. And I have those new transfers that I have from IOD. And I want to put, with it all being black, I want to put some different transfers around the actual container. I just think it will look amazing. And I know that I can definitely get my money's back worth, and it'll be a really unique piece in my booth. So I'm gonna go ahead, we're gonna paint this black, and then we're gonna go and put the transfers on. So this is where things went really downhill. I did not use the DIY black paint. I first decided to spray it. I thought, well, I'll spray it. I won't have to put a clear coat on it, and it'll be perfect. And I had it all figured out what I was going to use with these transfers. So initially, I was going to do that writing. That was too dark against the black, so that went wrong. Then I decided I was going to use the clock. I laid the clock down first, and that's when the paint started peeling up and the transfer was not working. It was like pulling the paint right off of it, and I couldn't figure out why. I don't know if my spray paint really was bad or if it was just that, I don't know. But I quickly had to come up with a different plan. And so I decided to go the route of painting it white and adding the actual transfers to the white after I distressed it. I was very sad because I had this whole vision of how I wanted it to look. I could have actually, after thinking about it, I could have painted it black with the DIY little black dress. I think it would have been perfect as well. But then sometimes what happens is when my vision changes, when things go awry, my whole vision changes. And that's what happened here. So I did apply 2 coats of DIY's vintage linen to this piece. I am now taking a wet paper towel and wet distressing all the areas to make all that detail of this piece pop. And looking back now, I really do like the white on here. There was so much detail. I think if it was all just black, you would not have seen all that amazing detail on the handles and on the base. So in the end, I am very thankful that that issue did occur, and I had to come up with my secondary plan. So once I get done doing this, we are going to apply Big Top to the entire piece and then add the transfers. So back to the drawing board, I am using that wording from Brocante, and we're gonna start off by laying that down. And then I'm going to use the flowers from the transfer called Wander. So this was exactly what I wanted to do initially, but I wanted to do it on the black. Honestly, this turned out to be a perfect hot mess. So I'm glad because it all pops so well on this white. Initially, I was so disappointed when the paint started peeling off with the black, but overall, this turned out awesome. So with the transfers, just lay them down, and like I said before, just slightly rub on those, and then they will release from the backing, and then just start slightly pulling up. And if anything doesn't stick, just lay it back down, rub again, and it will transfer right on. This was such an easy process, and like I said, I'm in love with these transfers. So once I get these both down, then what I will do is I will apply a clear coat, which I'm using in Big Top, to seal the transfers onto the actual vase. And I cannot wait to show you how awesome this looks with the flowers that I have chosen. Now, anytime I find a rolling pin, I grab it. I am using the color green Aviary. I want it to match the other pieces that I used as well. So I am just going to be painting a coat, a light coat on each of the ends. I'm going to let it dry, and then we're going to come back. We're going to wet distress it, and then we are going to clear coat it with Big Top, and then we are going to apply a transfer to the actual rolling pin itself. So here I'm taking that transfer that I tried to use on the vase, and I am trying to salvage what I can from it. So the one half, it did have the black paint on it, so I was not able to salvage that portion of it, but I was able to salvage the half of it. So some of the clock is on there. And initially when I first did it, I was like, oh, I don't know. But then I started adding the rest of the transfers. So I started adding the butterfly. I burnished that by taking the backing and rubbing it on. Then I add some green with the leaves, and I love it. I think it really makes it pop with that aviary handles. And then I just needed something else. And so I kind of looked, and then I found another set of leaves, and I added it to the other side of the actual butterfly. And I think in the end, it turned out amazing. So I did find this wood candlestick. It was from Kohl's. I did pay $5 for it. It was regular $10, and it looks like it was from Kohl's, and they had $39.99 on this candlestick. So I'm sure they probably got a 30% off, but in my book, that is far too expensive for just a candlestick. I even thought, oh, 10, 5. So anyways, I think it's going to turn out great. What we're going to do is we're spraying it black, and then I'm going to try to apply aviary over that and distress it. Now that I have the black on there, I sprayed it black and we are applying the aviary over it. So I am going to only need to do one coat. The aviary from DIY or all DIY paints, the coverage is amazing. The only time that I've had to do 2 coats of any color was with the white over the black. So it goes on really well. And the other nice thing too is if you do spray a bit of water and you want to blend several colors, you can do that too. I'm just going to do the straight aviary here. I want to see how well this is going to sell in my booth. Once you see how cool it looks distressed, I think you're going to want to try this. So I'm just starting off with a wet paper towel like I have with the other items that I showed you earlier. And I'm going to just start distressing it on each of the raised pieces and just, you know, like on all those little kind of like round things, just randomly distress it, make it look natural. But as I started doing this, I was like, oh, I really like it. I like it a lot. I will definitely be doing this with some of the other colors and be using aviary in my booth. I'm going to do some trees in this color. Not only can you use it to give you that cottagecore feel, but it does definitely remind me of the holidays too. So I hope that you guys were inspired with this black, with the the black popping through this green. I love it.
I'm driving down an empty freeway, no waiting for the light to change. I'm seeing the sunrise behind me.
So what'd you guys think? I loved the clock. Honestly, it by far was my favorite. I'm actually contemplating keeping it for myself for a while. It probably will end up in one of my booths. But I want to also apologize. So right before I'm taping this, I was on my website and I realized after, I was so excited to go up north this last weekend, I added all of the items to my website, but I did not publish them. So I did not add them to the site. So if you were looking for a specific transfer or item, once I get this uploaded, I'm gonna go out there and add those items to my website. So I want to apologize. Those are the new ones like Brocante and the pots one. I also have yet to receive the other ones. I've been tracking, hopefully soon. I have them all set for the other transfers, just waiting to get them. And once I receive them, I will add them to the website too. But everyone that has placed an order, I wanna thank you. Thank you, thank you. And everyone who has subscribed and being part of my YouTube family, I wanna thank you all as well. You are helping me grow my channel, and eventually, maybe one day, I will be able to do this full time, so we will see. All right, well, I want you guys all to have a great week. This weekend, Friday, Friday, what am I gonna do? I am thinking possibly my booth tour, or maybe another thrift to treasure video. So we'll see. I have lots in store and lots of great ideas. So you guys have a great week. We'll see you Friday. Bye.